Alright, good morning everybody. This is 5-1 notes on quadratic formula here by Mr. Brzezowski. Objective, you'll be able to use the quadratic formula to find the x-intercepts of the quadratic equation. Now this is to help you guys out a little bit more in addition to the other videos there that we have attached to the worksheets. So let's walk you through it here. These notes. Today we're going to be using the quadratic formula to find the x-intercepts of the quadratic equations. Well, x-intercepts means where does the x cross the x-axis. That's what we're going to be using in this case for a little bit. The formula that we're going to be using is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So the entire thing is divided by 2a. So we're going to use this formula here. As you can see, we have an A, a B, and a C. All three of those letters are in this formula. Now, what are A, B, and C? Well, A, B, and C are just like what we did before when we were identifying A, B, and C in the past. Whereas A is the sign and the number in front of the x squared. B is always the sign and the number in front of the x value, or simply the symbol or the variable that is to the power of 1. And C is the sign and the number that doesn't have any variables attached to it, meaning that there's no variables in that term. N equals 0. The value, the A value is the sign, the number before the x squared. The B value is the sign, the number before the variable. And C is the sign and the number with no variable in its term. So let's do a problem together here. Got the formula up here in the top right. Here in problem number 1, we have 4x squared minus 10x plus 4 equals 0. So this is a quadratic equation in standard form, meaning that the x squared comes first, then comes the x, then comes the number without the x. So we have an A, a B, and a C. A is positive 4, B is negative 10, and C is positive 4. And I label them A, B, and C just for reference. So going with our formula here, we have minus B. So minus B, well, minus a negative 10. Let's type it out. So minus parentheses negative 10. Close parentheses, because anytime I substitute, I want to make sure I use parentheses. I'm going to first just do the plus sign. That's what that little plus and minus sign mean. Just go with the plus sign first. And then we're going to do a second equation that involves the minus sign. Square root SQRT of b squared, so parentheses. Our b is negative 10, so we type in negative 10. Then we got to square it because it's b squared. Then minus 4, which will always be the case. It's always going to be a minus 4 according to the formula. Parentheses, our a value. Our a value in this case is positive 4. So we put positive 4 in. Then we got to substitute again. So we do in our open parentheses. Our c value is positive 4. So I type in positive 4. Now we opened up this square root parentheses. So now we got to close it up because that's everything in the square root. Then we got to divide by 2a. So this entire thing is divided by 2 times the a value. So 2 parentheses. The a value in our problem here is positive 4. So 2 times positive 4. And this will get us one of the x values. So let's simplify this down here. Negative 10, that's really just a positive 10. So positive 10 plus the square root. Well, let's type in the square root of negative 10 squared minus 4ac all into the calculator. Let's find out what that number is. You can actually type the entire thing into the calculator if you like to, right from the get-go. So I do square root by hitting second x squared, which is where the square root button is on your graphing calculator. It's located approximately 5 buttons down. You have to hit the second button to get there. So the square root of negative 10 squared minus 4 times positive 4 times positive 4 again. I'm going to close parentheses. And I get 6. So you got 10 plus 6. And then over 2 times 4, which is 8. Ten plus 6, you guys know, is 16. And 16 divided by 8 is 2. So 16 divided by 8. Which gets us 2. So x equals 2. That's when we use the plus sign. Now we also got to do the same thing again. Except now this entire formula needs to have a negative sign right there. So we're replacing that positive sign with a negative sign. So we know negative 10 and negative 10 is really just positive 10. Then we got a minus. Well, instead of doing 10 plus 6, you do 10 minus 6 because it's the same numbers. So 10 minus 6 divided by 8. Because it's the same thing. We're just changing that positive sign into a negative sign. 10 minus 6 is 4. 4 divided by 8 gets you a half. So x equals a half. Or half is the same thing as 0.5. So my two answers are 2 and 0.5. So I look at my multiple choice, I see 2 and 0.5. My answer will be C in this case. Alright, let's try another one, because I know these are tough. So look in here, problem number 2. Move it up a little bit. So in the top right hand corner we have our quadratic equation again. Our problem here in number 2 is 2n squared plus n minus 105 equals 0. So we have to identify A, B, and C. A is the value of positive 2, B is the positive 1, and C is negative 105. We're going to plug these three values in this equation. Now, the tough one part of this one is that B is positive 1 because there's an imaginary 1 right there. So don't forget about that positive 1. So minus B. So we're going to type in minus parentheses. Now our B value is positive 1, so I put positive 1 in. Plus, then we got to do the square root, SQRT for square root. Parentheses. Our B squared, so I'm substituting something in, so I put another parentheses in. So parentheses positive 1 squared minus 4 times my A value, which is 2, times my C value, which is negative 105. And I close up the square root. Divided by 2 times A. My A value is 2. So it'll be 2 times 2. Negative and positive 1, that's really just a negative 1. So I'm going to do negative 1 out here. And that's plus the square root. I'm going to put that inside calculator. Find out what that is. So I do second square, which gets us a square root of 1 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 105. And we get 29. So this whole entire thing is just positive 29. 2 times 2 is 4. So we got negative 1 plus 29 divided by 4. So negative 1 plus 29 gets you 28. 28 divided by 4 gets you 7. So this first one is equal to 7. Now, we have that minus sign to deal with. We're doing the exact same thing, except instead of this plus sign, it's going to be a minus sign. So it's going to be negative 1 minus 29, which gets us negative 30. So negative 1 minus 29 divided by 4, which is really just negative 30 divided by 4. Put the divide by 4's in there. And negative 30 divided by 4. We put that into the calculator. I think we're getting a decimal. Yep, we get negative 7.5. So x equals negative 7.5. So 7, negative 7.5. That looks like it's option A. So number 2 is A. Let's do one more. So problem number 3 here. We identify our A, or B, and our C. Here's our quadratic formula. We now gotta type them in. We gotta plug in our A, B, and our C into the quadratic formula. So it's minus parentheses. Our B value is positive 1. Because remember, there's an imaginary 1 in front of that P in this problem. Plus, for the plus minus, the square root of B squared. Our B, once again, is positive 1 squared minus 4. Our A is 4. And our C is negative 138. All over 2 times A. So we have negative 1, because positive 1 and negative 1 is really just negative 1, plus the square root. We're going to simplify this square root to see if it comes out to a nice pretty number. So we do second square root. 1 squared minus 4 times 4 times negative 138. Close parentheses. And you get 47. So you have negative 1 plus 47 divided by 8, because 2 times 4 is 8. So negative 1 plus 47 gets you 46. 46 divided by 8. I'm going to put that into the calculator. Get you 5.75. Ooh, so the first one is 5.75. Then we got to do negative 1 minus 47. So negative 1 minus 47. Get you negative 48. And negative 48 divided by 8 get you 8. So negative 48 divided by 8 get you 8. So we're going to have 5.75. Pardon me. Didn't make sense. Negative 48 divided by 8 is negative 6. That makes more sense. Sorry. Negative 6. So we got C. So number 3, letter is C. The answer is C. 5.75, comma, negative 6. Squeeze in one more. So, problem number 4, we have 5m squared minus 2m minus 115. We're going to plug these 3 numbers into our quadratic formula. I'll create a little more room. Slide that up. So we got minus our b value, which in this case is -2. So minus parentheses -2, close parentheses, plus. Now we got to do the square root of b squared, so -2 squared, minus 4 times our a value, which is 5, times our c value, which is -115, close parentheses. Then we're going to divide it by 2a. Divide that by 2 times a. And our a value is 5. Now that we got that, let's simplify it down a bit. Negative and a -2 gets you really a +2. So it's going to be 2 plus. Now we're going to type in the square root into the calculator. So second square root, parentheses, -2, close parentheses, squared, minus 4, parentheses, 5, close parentheses, open parentheses, -115, close parentheses. And you close that parentheses a second time to close the square root. And you should get 48. And then 2 times 5 is 10. So 2 plus 48 over 10, which is 50 over 10. 50 over 10 gets you 5. So for your first one, you got x equals 5. Because 2 plus 48 gets you 50. 50 divided by 10 gets you 5. Now we did 2 plus. Now we got to do 2 minus 48. Well, 2 minus 48 is -46. And we take -46 and we divide that by 10. And we're going to get -4.6. So 2 minus 48 divided by 10. We get -46, and -46 divided by 10 gets you -4.6. That's all we get B for the answer for number 4. All right, ladies and gents, email me if you have any questions or come see me during extra help. I'll be happy to help you out. And have a good night.